Good evening, everyone. At this time, I'd like to call the Wildwood School Building Committee meeting of November 18, 2025 to order. The time is 6:30. At this time, I would kindly ask that David Sangden conduct a roll call, please.
Thank you. I'm going to apologize ahead of time if I mispronounce everyone's name. Diane Allen?
Here.
Greg Bendel?
Here.
Kate Bissell?
Here.
Kevin Chiara?
Kyra here.
Kyra? Apologies. Michael Camosio?
Here.
Justin Crusoe?
Couchet here.
Couchet? Marion Galizzo?
Here.
Nicholas?
Here, remote.
Christine Halloran?
Yes, here.
John Holloway? Okay. Dennis Kelly here. Lila Maselli?
Here.
Thank you.
Oh, here.
Paul Mariani?
Here.
Craig Miner?
Here.
Christine Murray? Judy?
Here.
Christine Pendergrass?
Here.
David Ragsdale? Here. Paul Ruggiero?
Here.
Stacy Scott?
Here.
Eric Slagle?
Here.
Dr. Thompson?
Here.
Stephen Turner?
Here.
And Vivian not here.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. There is a draft set of minutes for October 21st, 2025 for the School Building Committee that was included in the meeting packet that was distributed last Friday, November 14th. The draft meeting minutes were labeled as item number 2, and I do have a proposed motion to approve the minutes from the School Building Committee held on October 21st, 2025 as issued. Would anyone like to make that motion?
So moved.
Motion's been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second for discussion. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
I'm sorry, who seconded?
Greg. Greg Bendel. Former second.
All right, Diane Allen?
Yes.
Gregory Bendel?
Yes.
Kate Bissell?
Yes.
Kevin Chiara?
Yes.
Michael Camosio?
Yes.
Justin?
Yes.
Couchet? Apologies.
No problem.
I'm going to do it all night.
People have been doing it my whole life.
Marion Galizzo?
Staying.
Nicholas Golden?
Yes.
Christine Halloran?
Yes.
John is absent. Dennis Kelly?
Yes.
Lila Maselli?
Yes.
Paul Mariani?
Yes.
Craig Miner?
Yes.
Christine Murray is absent. Judy?
Yes.
Christine Pendergrass?
Yes.
David Ragsdale?
Yes.
Paul Ruggiero?
Yes.
Stacy Scott?
Yes.
Eric Slagle?
Yes.
Dr. Thompson?
Yes.
Stephen Turner?
Yes.
And Vivian is up.
The next item on the agenda is administrative, and at this time I'll turn it over to David Sangden from left field.
Thank you, Judy. So regarding just administrative tasks related to this meeting, it was brought to our attention that the committee packet that was sent out on Friday afternoon contained 2 clerical errors. One of them was the invoice related to Fontaine Brothers. It inadvertently listed the Tinsboro project. And then 2, BRI number 2 had a typo pertaining to the name listed in the signature block for the school committee chair. When this was brought to our attention yesterday, we made the corrections and we corrected it in the committee packet just for historical purposes, but we decided to not send a new email to the committee since we're meeting today and they were just clerical errors, so they've been corrected. So the invoice summary, thank you, Craig. So this was prepared, invoice summary number 21 for review tonight. It was included in the meeting packet from last Friday. And it is invoice summary number 21 is for a total of $837,500 $92.20. This was reviewed by the Finance Working Group prior to this meeting. Dennis, I know you came in a little late, but I have a prepared motion that I will make the motion, but I won't move the motion. I'll look for a second from the Finance Committee to move it. So it would be motion to approve the invoice summary number 21 in the amount of $837,592.20.
So moved.
Second? And then discussion? Bless you. Okay, if not, we'll do a roll call vote, and Dennis, you moved the motion.
David Ragsdale in a second.
Thank you.
Here is Vivian.
And then we'll move to a roll call.
Okay, Vivian, block your ears, I'm going to do a roll call vote, all right?
I apologize.
Diane Allen,
Yes.
Gregory Bendel,
Yes.
Kate Bissell,
Yes.
Kevin Chiara,
Yes.
Michael Camosio,
Yes.
Justin Cusell?
Couché.
Couché.
Yes.
Couché. Hang on a second. Marianne Galuzzo,
Yes.
Nicholas Goldberg,
Yes.
Christine Halloran,
Yes.
John Holloway is out, Dennis Kelly,
Yes.
Lila Maselli,
Lilia, yes.
Lily, I'm sorry, one more time?
Lilia.
Lily.
You can just say
Okay.
Lil, that's easy.
Paul Mariani,
Yes.
Craig Meyer,
Abstain.
Christine Murray, and Judy,
Yes.
Christine Pendergrass,
Yes.
David Ragsdale,
Yes.
Paul Ruggiero,
Yes.
Stacy Scott,
Yes.
Eric Slagle,
Yes.
Dr. T,
Yes.
Stephen Turner,
Yes.
and Vivian.
Yes.
Thank you. So as of yesterday, the MSBA has executed project funding agreement, and you'll hear us call it the PFA. Since the PFA is executed, Left Field will now be able to submit the monthly reimbursement requests, essentially the payments that were done tonight, to the MSBA on behalf of the town. This is a process that was handled flawlessly by Paul. This is Paul's last meeting. So the MSBA's review of reimbursements take about 8 weeks. Because Paul's been doing them flawlessly for, well over a couple of years now, the town has been receiving reimbursement requests timely, or the payments from the MSBA. The key point here is that these are all invoices now for post the feasibility study. So now that the PFA is executed as of yesterday, which is great, now we can submit all of these, and it'll keep the cycle that Paul has started going again. We're going to keep within the rhythm. And Craig, we do have, so we have this chart. So we had a meeting a couple of weeks ago with Tommy Donahue, Paul, Left Field, Craig and I, Dan McSweeney, who does all of our propane management, and we went through this process. It was very easy because Paul understands it, and essentially Dan McSweeney from Left Field is going to be taking over Paul's role. There's really honestly nothing to see here. We have the process down to the science, but if anyone has any questions about reimbursement, if they're easy to answer, I will. If not, I'm happy to follow up with a phone call, and we can take an extremely deep dive into the process if you like. All right. Seeing none, we'll go into a budget update. And what we did is last month we shared with you the budget, which is I think probably 3 pages, and we did a cut and paste. We showed it on the screen, so it's somewhat legible. What we decided to do is, for the purposes of this committee meeting, is we rolled up a lot of categories. As an example, The feasibility study agreement, that was 4 cost codes, we just rolled them up. We did the same for administration, architecture and engineering, construction, miscellaneous, FF&E, we did not roll up, there's only 2 cost codes, and the same with contingency. So we kind of rolled it up just for simplicity for the committee meeting, but for the packet, we sent out the full budget, which is probably 2 or 3 pages. And then the next slide is for the BRR number 2. Oh, apologies, I'm going to talk about the cash flow. So the cash flow, obviously, no one can read. But this, I wanted to share, this was sent to Eric Slagle, and then I replicated the numbers here that no one can read over here. And this is for Eric to do his magic. If you're gonna do short-term bans or, borrow, everything here, and then you do a ban there, but that's for Eric to decide. So I just wanted to share that we put together a cash flow. This will be updated monthly, but probably every 6 months we will take an extremely deep dive and do another accurate or kind of our best crystal ball of the cash flow. But as of right now, we're showing we're gonna spend all of the 173.3, but as the project continues and at a certain point when we're out of the risk, we'll be forecasting a different number. Any questions on the cash flow or the budget?
Not a question, just so much as an update to the committee, which is, once we got this, I sat down with Stephanie Frontier, who's our finance director, and our lending consultant, to work out the beginnings of our plan for cash flow monitoring on our side, which is, as you said, it's likely to start with short-term ban in anticipation of rates going down and reduce longer-term borrowing. The initial ban is probably the obvious part.
Excellent. Correct, next slide. All right, so the next one is the budget revision request, BRI number 2. We presented this as a look ahead last month as it's coming. So we're here now to approve it. The actual BRR form was included in the packet. Respectfully or diplomatically, I'll say that it's not our form, it's an MSBA form. I would probably format it differently, but that's the form we have to use. I think it's not very user-friendly, but it's the form we have to use. And for this BRR, the takeaway is that all we did is we moved some buckets of money within the OPM line items of the budget, but it's the same total. It didn't increase, it didn't decrease. And we talked about that last month. And then for Dolan Whittier, we did the same thing. We moved some money around in buckets. However, the Dolan Whittier contract, the execution of amendment number 4, there was $240,000 of savings. So this BRR is moving $240,000 from one of the line items for architectural services to the owner's contingency line item at the bottom of the budget. So that's the takeaway of this BRR. And the next slide, I think we have I have a prepared motion. So I can read the prepared motion. I'll just ask if a committee member can move it. It would be motion to approve the budget revision request number 2 as presented.
So moved.
Second.
I'm sorry, seconded by
Lily.
Mary Ann.
Oh, Mary Ann, sorry.
Thank you.
And I'll do the roll call.
If no discussion? All right, take it away, Vivian.
Diane Allen,
Yes.
Greg Bendel,
Yes.
Kate Bissell,
Yes.
Kevin Kyra,
Yes.
Michael Camosio,
Yes.
Justin Couche,
Yes.
Mary Ann Galesso,
Yes.
Nick Golden,
Yes.
thank you, Christine Holleran,
Yes.
John Holloway, absent, thank you, Dennis Kelly,
Yes.
Lillian Maselli, yes, Paul Malorani,
Yes.
Craig Minor,
Yes.
Christine Murray,
Judy O'Connor,
Yes.
Christine Pendergast,
Yes.
David Ragsdale,
Yes.
Paul Ruggiero,
Yes.
Stacy Scott,
Yes.
Eric Schlegel,
Yes.
Dr. T,
Yes.
Steve Turner,
Yes.
and myself, yes, motion carries.
Thank you, Vivian. Offline, getting somebody from our office will send this document by DocuSign for signatures. And then the next item I'm going to let Craig speak to regarding the access to the meeting packets.
Thanks, David. So last month, there was a question about these meeting packets. How is the information being distributed? How can it be accessible later? So what we've started doing is, assuming we're meeting on Tuesdays, the Friday before, I'll send an email out to the whole group. It's got a link in there. The reason why we do a link is because the files are sometimes too large to email, oftentimes too large to email. So the link will be in there. We use Ignite, which is our file sharing software program, and it's limited to 14 weeks. So that link's only good for 14 weeks. We can't make it any longer. So just over 3 months. So if you say, oh, I want to see what was in last month's packet, you can just open up your old email, and it'll still be good. If you can't find your email, if you deleted it, or just email me and I'll send you a fresh one, good for another 14 weeks. If you want to go further back in time, we keep meticulous records of the packets and everything having to do with the building committee meetings, so we can go back in time as far as you want. Just email me and I'll get it right over to you. Just another fresh link. And then this was, so this is the format when you guys get in there. That's what it looks like, as we have them labeled to match the agenda.
Are you going to put these on the Wilmington committee website, these packets?
Typically we don't, and the reason for that is because it is very detailed information, and we find that it sometimes causes confusion in the public because they don't have somebody like a design team or OPM to kind of like walk them through it. So what we put out there is we put out the presentation, this presentation, the meeting minutes, the agenda, of course, and the video.
Yeah.
So it's all there, and available to the public if they ask. We would do a Freedom of Information Act request.
Public request.
Yeah, if somebody wanted to really get all those documents. And that's not set in stone. That's just kind of what the field recommends.
But I think in the past, we've put them all on the website, correct?
No, they weren't. Going back to the last 2 years, it was just those documents I described.
And we've always had uploaded the presentation slide deck that would include, which also already included the approval for meeting minutes. We would include the meeting minutes separately though, so for people can see, and I think you guys are still doing that as well.
Yeah, agenda, presentation, and meeting minutes.
Correct.
And
That was standard of what.
So it does map to that, and we have received, public information requests, and we've provided that. When people have asked for documents, whatever we have, we've given them. And those requests come through the town clerks. They have a assigned, a case ID to them, and they're tracked. So Beth Lawrence's team receives the request, and everything kind of input, output goes through Beth so that we can track it. So we've been getting very inundated with a lot of requests, which is fine. That's what the public has the right to do. So we have that cadence of going through the town clerk's office to make sure that we can properly track, because we have to respond within a certain amount of time.
Are you guys subject to public record requests though?
So my opinion is, no.
So my point is, if a year from now, somebody wants this budget sheet, the town doesn't have it, and the town's gonna say, we're not responsive, we don't have it. You guys are a private entity, you're not subject to public records requests.
Correct.
So there's the problem.
But we, at the end of a project, we always, we transfer the files to the town. A lot of times we transfer all of the payment requests for ProPay. So we collect everything and we can transfer it to the town.
At the end of the project.
At the end of the project, we can transfer it a year in, we can do it, periodically.
But if a newspaper needs it a year into the project, they're not gonna get it.
Well, they would have to ask the town, and then the town will ask us, and then we provide it.
I don't see any harm in putting this on the website. In print form. I don't know how any other committee members feel, but I just,
I agree that if we know it's final information afterwards, why not just post it out?
it's already public record. So it's.
Save that some time.
Even if it's there and available for 14 weeks, I would rather see this available to the public.
Yeah, if I may, let me just think this through for a moment.
Sure.
So, because we could send the packet to Tracy. And Tracy would have to, is Angel still here? Okay. He may be looped into this, what I'm gonna say. So we would send the packet to Tracy. Tracy would have to put it on, I'm gonna say the town or the school's server, which doesn't have a 14-week limit. And then post it onto the website. So it's theoretically there forever.
I'm not worried about the 14 limit.
I'm not
It's
worried
out
about
there
14 weeks
forever.
either.
Yeah, it's.
I would just rather have this stuff available for anybody who wants it. And I get
But
it's
beyond the
complicated
14 weeks.
beyond the 14.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Doesn't
it would, yeah, so what I'm saying, I think would work. We'd give it to Tracy. Tracy would have to put it on the town or the school's server. And I was just thinking that it would probably be a link on the existing building committee website that would say committee packet. Someone could hit that link, and then they would see a file tree that would look something like this.
That's
This
fine.
just would bring them to the town's website, or the town's server, or the school department server. I don't know if they're two different servers.
As long as the town clerk can direct people to look at the stuff is here, you can just get it here.
It would take some pressure off the town clerk if you're getting that many requests from town hall. I mean, this is public information. We can make this available at a click to anybody who wants to see it in the public. Why not?
If they have questions, they can come to this meeting, right, ask their questions.
That's what I was gonna say, because I understand what you're saying, where it could cause confusion, you know, it's a lot to look at.
Sometimes they just,
but-
things are, they don't have the context of having
Right, I
it
agree, but
presented.
still.
But then they can also reference like the meeting
The
notes,
meeting.
whatever, but I think it's gonna, whether they request it, through the town, or they look at it, I think they're gonna have the same questions, is what I'm getting at, so I don't think it matters that if they have full access,
So if I could just get, I'm gonna say the will of the committee, is that the process?
I prefer to just have it accessible on the website.
We could take an informal vote.
Yeah, I'm not looking for a vote, but I just wanna make sure that it's the will of the committee and
It makes complete sense. Is there any pitfall we're not seeing? It makes sense, but I feel like I sometimes wonder what I'm not thinking of.
Do we have space on the server
At least.
to have all this data and information? Because the size, I mean, right now, the size is manageable. We're not in construction where the requisitions are coming into play.
100 pages.
Exactly. And change orders and PCO logs. I'm just wanna raise, to your point, Stephen, do we have space on the server?
Well, if it's the will of the committee, we're gonna have to ensure that we do have this space, and I just wanna be clear, and I'm not insinuating that anybody is saying this, but the intent of not publishing it wasn't to withhold information, it was more to, to not put volumes and volumes of information out there that people frankly may not take the time to read or fully understand. But if it's the will of the committee to put it all out there, and it's, some of the one document previously was over 1,000 pages, so, who wants to step up and raise their hand and say they read every one of those pages, but if it's there as a point of reference, it's there as a point of reference. There's no issue with that, it's just more knowing, we had a proposed methodology of doing it, it's not the will of the committee to do it that way, and we will certainly change it.
And maybe we can, that's a suggestion, maybe, once, a year goes by, and maybe those get, archived, and people have to put in requests for that. So anything in 2026, they have to put in requests, and then we start fresh in 2027. Now we don't have the, every single one on there for, the duration of the project.
Sure. Eric?
Yeah, I just want to respond to something that Paul was saying. Just to be clear to everybody, whether or not we put it on a website, if it's discussed by this committee, it's a public record, and we would have been required to provide it in 10 days, even if we didn't have it. If this committee discussed it, we're required by law to provide it within 10 days. So there wouldn't be a situation, there's not going to be a situation where someone would have to wait outside that period to provide it. So that just, I don't want anybody to think that there's gonna be a black hole where there's a gap where we're not, there's things we don't have to provide. It's all still public record, so we have
And everything that we have, just so you know, we have released to the public. So we've had multiple requests for the land survey. We don't have that yet. We've had multiple requests for that. We've indicated we don't have it yet. We still don't have it yet. So a lot of this is a work in progress, and we're in the steps of doing environmental now, and it's an ongoing process. So everything that we've been asked for up to today's date has been issued out. And in some instances, we're not required to create something that we don't have, but, we have taken, what was the document that you created? An abridged version that was easier to understand.
The budget summary?
The budget summary,
3011.
yeah, the 3011. So the 3011 was like an eye test, and so we released the 3011 to the public, and then Left Field did an abridged version that really focused on the important pertinent information. It's all important on the 3011, but really drilled into the nuts and bolts to try and make it more user-friendly, and they took that extra step for the public. So, we're definitely in the business of providing the information if we have it.
One quick thing is, like, I had a public records request today, and I went to what's called Procore, which is for the build of the new town hall. I kind of sort of know how to get around it and find things, but finding my answers aren't as easy as I end up calling Consigli and saying, hey, I got all these files for the last couple of years. Where do we even start to go? So I think that'd be my only thing, is putting it out there. People are still gonna not know how to find what they're looking for. And what I did today, I spent a decent amount of time in the areas I thought, and I was close. I called them, and within a couple minutes, they told me where to go, and I was able to fine tune it, and then supply that public records request with exactly what they were looking for and the description. So once you get into construction, this file gets enormous quick. And then if you don't know what you're looking for, you're not finding it anyway, and you're probably doing a public records request just to get your answer, because you're gonna give up and say, all right, I just want this answer, someone help me find it, and then they're gonna supply it. I mean, I'm fine with people think that it should be posted, but there is a way of getting it, and like I said, finding it as this file gets bigger and bigger and bigger, most people are never going to find what they're looking for without assistance from Left Field or Fontaine or someone.
Well, that's fine, they can ask the question and be directed to it.
Yep. It's just, I spent a serious amount of time, and there's towards the end of this bill, there's a lot of detail.
So the end result will be that we'll do it, and then if we have to revisit it again, we will. Craig?
Just to piggyback on that, I really don't have a strong opinion either way, but should we check with the town's IT department? Because as Dennis said, if this is file gets enormous and 10,000 people are trying to download it at once, is that going to affect the website or how it functions? I don't know how to work IT, but it's just not here. So,
I think the intent would be that I think we would say that we'll do it, and then, we'll talk to IT, because I want to make sure people feel comfortable that we're walking out with the plan to be transparent, and if it gets to a point where they suggest because of capacity, they need to archive some of the prior work so that they can make room, then but it's about, I'm gonna do that, kind of in tandem with it, but, I want the message to this committee and to the public to be that we intend to provide the public information, and I think it's a back shop thing that we have to look at storage capacity and cost capacity, and if it becomes an issue and we have some empirical data, we'll bring it back for another agenda item, but at this point, I want people to know our sincere intention is to provide the information that you're asking us to do. Does that seem reasonable, Eric?
Absolutely.
I should ask my boss before I commit to these things.
All right, so at this point, we're gonna go into a design update.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. So the design team has been working with the user groups, and so we have met with over 18 groups over the dates of October 30th through November 10th. And you see all the groups up here. And the intent of the user groups is we've gone through a round of these already in previous phases to gather information on how they use the building and use the spaces. And this was a follow-up meeting based, now that we are actually moving forward with the project, to confirm what we heard in previous meetings and then look at refining some of the information. A lot of the time was spent confirming some of the fixed items within each space and how it's organized. Classrooms, for example, it was the procession of a student coming in, where the cubbies are, going and washing their hands, and then, maybe their stations that they go to, and so how they progress into a classroom, for example. And, for all of these different groups, we went through this process, so pretty much every space in the building was covered. Next slide, please. So this is a sample. I just picked the art room because it was one art room, so it's simpler. So the art room classroom on the first floor, so we met with not only the art teacher, but there would be administrators, dentists, so a couple people in the room to walk through the process. We gave them an update on where the space is in the building. Next slide. This would be an example of the floor plan that they would see of the specific room. You can see, the notes in blue were areas that we were identifying. A lot of the spaces, for example, we identified the teaching wall because the technology needs to be on that wall. Usually along the window wall, you would have base cabinets that were built in, and we would talk about whether there would be open shelving or doors on those, things like that. And then on the opposite wall, typically there's at least another group of casework for storage. Storage is premium in any building. And so the art room especially is very specific because they need additional sinks, for example. And then you'll see these different notes in red were things that we talked about that we said, okay, we need to consider this as we're moving forward. Art room is also a little special in that it has the kiln, so it has those needs as well. So it's confirming those needs, and then we could go to the next slide. That we would show it in elevation so they can see what each of those rooms look like. So this is for every space in the building that we have these. We talked about, do we need tack boards this big? This is, where kids get to pin up all of their art, does that happen in the classroom? Is there opportunity to do that in the corridor as well? Every space, not every space, but the majority of teaching spaces, they should have some sort of projection screen, marker board, tack boards, and so just accounting for that. We've accounted for it in the estimates up till now, so we're just confirming what we need and where we need them. So for some teachers, they said, we actually prefer to have marker boards that have magnetic surfaces, and then you don't necessarily need as many tack boards. So a multifunctional piece that is on the wall. A big piece of this is, from our side, is echoing flexibility within the space. So, there are times where the staff member will be very specific on how they use a room, and we try to remind them that this is not just for right now, but we have to look and forecast for, say, 10, 20, 30 years. Next slide. In the art room, as I mentioned, the specialty equipment is definitely important. All of the classrooms have sinks, but obviously art room has more of the trough sink, possibly different types of storage for the materials that are stored. On the bottom left, you'll see, they store a lot of paper, but also each class has the work that they're progressing through for that coursework, and so, they have storage within each of those. So, trying to figure out how is that going to work in this new building. A lot of this is either stuff that they don't have, and so they're trying to figure out what they're going to need, or of the stuff that they have now, how much of that is coming with them. This is also a great time for purging to happen. Realizing what are we still using, not using, what do we still need as time moves on. So,
Maybe
just to add to that, as you guys can imagine, right, coming together with 3 separate schools and bringing them into one, just like learning how to think about the operation of the building. And when you're consolidating all that stuff, those are types of conversations that we're having. And out of those, you start kind of teasing out these little challenges that people haven't completely thought through yet. So we got a lot of that out on the table, I think, as questions about things that we need to think through. Certainly from a school administration standpoint, how do we coalesce and bring this stuff together? We also heard a lot of input from actual classroom teachers and specialty space teachers, giving us really good information, specifically what they're looking for to be able to run their classrooms. And so we took down all of that information and we started hearing, sometimes you get discrepancies from, one grade classroom to another grade classroom looking for specific things. Our goal in that flexibility is to know we're not designing for necessarily a teacher today, but we're also designing about a teacher 30 years from now, right? So we're trying to somewhat homogenize the spaces to keep them similar, so as enrollments may change or programs may change, you've got similar structured spaces. So to that end, we've gone through this first round, which would be, we'll have more rounds as we continue to go through these phases. And we're having a meeting, I think, this Friday, the 21st, with district administrators to kind of download everything that we heard and kind of make some of those decisions, or at least put some stuff on the map of things that we need to kind of map out a little bit further on organizational structure, needs and parity between the classrooms and the spaces. So all really good conversations up to this point and helps us as we progress through the design phases, but there's certainly more to come, and I think we uncover a couple more things every time we have these conversations.
So you mentioned the idea of having some similarities amongst the teachers of the same grades. Thank you. But clearly between grades, kindergarten versus 5th grade, for example, kindergarten has a massively different storage need than 5th grade. So within the grades would be similar, but across the grades you would have some differences based on what the needs are of the different.
Correct, and we're just trying to come to agreement, kind of what is that kind of common middle ground where we're taking care of as many needs as we can, but not making stuff so customized that you're kind of running into it in the future.
But the casework, for example, would be different as you go up.
Different heights, right? Different furniture needs, different storage needs for different age groups and programs.
Yeah, I sat in all the meetings and I listened, and it was interesting to watch the 3 principals at 3 different schools operate a little differently for their needs or their age groups, and they all had the input for it to try to help get there. So it was interesting to hear everyone throwing their ideas in to make sure it fits everybody.
And so the next piece here is some of the testing that's been happening or analysis that's been happening in the background while we're doing these user group meetings. So there has been progress on the updated traffic study. It has been completed, so we have a draft, and we're going to be reviewing that with the town as well, because it's responding to some of the comments from the town, so we'll be going through that process. The hydrant flow test, that was completed recently, and good news, no fire pump is required for the project, so that's great news. We had to make the assumption that we might have it to include it in the cost, but now we know that we'll have that. We don't have to carry that further. The environmental site assessment that is ongoing, it started with interviewing the principal and Dennis at the North Intermediate site, and it involves going through every space in the building and then doing, it's a lot of research, it's really a report that's used. So that's in progress. Material testing that happened on the 11th, and it'll be ongoing as well, but to get into the building, the 11th, the school is closed, so they took that day to go in. Obviously the user group meetings we just updated. Borings are in progress, started this past Wednesday, and test pits should be happening early December. And then we'll also be doing an existing ambient noise level measurement. That's where meters are put around the site to understand what the noise levels are now, and then we have a threshold that we can exceed that with a new design. And so then we have to make sure that whatever we're adding to the site, we don't exceed that threshold. So that's scheduled for the first week of December.
Does the town have a bylaw or a standard for what the ambient noise level should be?
Does that conclude that?
Yep, so we're just going to, keep bringing these updates as we go. In the background, we're also working on refining the design, with all of the feedback that we've received. So next month, as we get closer, we'll have a better idea of some of those updates that will be progressing forward, and we'll bring that back to you. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next item on the agenda is item number 5, which is a public engagement update. So at this time, only the team, the only item that we have at this time is that there was a school department press release that was issued out on November 1st, 2025. Hopefully many people have had an opportunity to see that. Thank you to the school department for putting that out. Regarding an update on when the property abutter meeting will occur, we will address that as part of the public comment section. And the next item is item number 6, which is discussion correspondence and new items. So as a follow-up to previous correspondence received pertaining to addressing idling at the North Intermediate School property, I just wanted to inform everyone that all 5 building signs indicating idle-free zones were installed by the Public Buildings Department on October 24th, 2025. Additionally, DPW installed 2 pole-mounted no idling signs on October 29th of 2025. So as a follow-up to that previous correspondence received regarding a request from an abutter for the measurement of car exhaust fumes during the drop-off and pickup times at the North Intermediate, please note that the project team is in discussion with an environmental hygienist consultant to conduct vehicle exhaust readings at the North Intermediate property, and there will be more information to follow. And also Dr. Thompson did put out some publication to the public as well as to the staff and teachers and faculty members as well. I have a question here.
Just at the, in the design update, did we skip over that last slide about the site plan update?
We can go back to it. It was just a.
It's somewhat duplicative, but we can go back to it if you'd like.
I don't have to. I know it's in there, so.
Okay, I just.
But I didn't know if we were going to touch on it later. That's why I didn't.
We probably may touch on it later.
Okay.
So it's
It's
there.
more has to do with setting up for the abutter meeting.
Any other questions? Yes.
Regarding that statement you just made, which I think is wonderful, and I also read in the community news what Dr. T put on there. Who is the enforcer of it?
Police department.
So would either the crossing guard or the teachers or something contact the police department if a car is parked there and it's running and running? Is that how it's going to work? Or is there a notice going home with the parents or anything?
Yeah, there has been a notice that was sent home back beginning of November with the November newsletter. So first thing would be reminding people, and if it's a consistent problem, we would call to get some reminding with a badge and a blue uniform. So hopefully don't need to go further than that. But
yeah.
my experience in other districts is once the signs are up and you remind people, they go, oh, I didn't realize it. It's usually not a big deal.
Well, I live near the middle school, and they're there almost a half hour before.
Yeah, we're going to be putting signs at all the schools. So this was a universal district-wide thing. It's health and safety and, saving the environment and using less gas and on and on and on. So,
There is a very prominent section, but the weekly middle school and high school newsletters from the principals addressing it.
So are you expecting the cars to turn off their engines in the middle of the street?
Yeah, you can't, well, not if they're moving in line, but if they're sitting there waiting, they can't be sitting waiting in idle.
Well, I would assume that cars would be waiting to get their students, and in the winter, they're gonna want the cars to be.
Yeah, and there are exceptions for when it's a certain temperature and what have you, but it's not, what's happening.
I just don't want this committee to be naive to realize that cars are not gonna be idling out there.
Right.
Because they will be. But let's face it, you can do all the enforcement you want, we're not gonna send the police department down there to give tickets out to everybody.
Right.
That I can guarantee you.
Right, yeah.
So just to take it one step further, internally, we had a meeting with the police chief, the deputy chief, the board of health director, public buildings, DPW, town leadership, school committee, meaning school leadership, and we had a discussion. And there are some exceptions, which would be for the temperature that we're talking about, so extreme cold and extreme heat. So, no, I can appreciate, Mr. Kara's comment that, the intent is we're not gonna be trying to throw a book at people and write all sorts of tickets. It's more a community education to try and reduce emissions and to have people, if they're getting there a half an hour early and they're not in the active mode of queuing, and perhaps it's a grandparent or somebody arriving for 30 minutes on any given day, rather than leave their car running for that 30 minutes, if they're not in a hardship for temperature reasons, that they would be neighborly and shut their car off. That's the intent. So we're doing our best for the environmental safety. Basically, it's going to be the SROs at the school that are going to try and facilitate community engagement to try and reduce the impact. So, it's not going to be, a one-size-fits-all. It's going to be an earnest attempt to do some community police work with administrative engagement with the public to try and reduce emissions so that the environmental safety is attempted to be upheld. So it's not going to be perfect, I can assure you, and we do understand that there are some exemptions, which are the temperature that we talked about, as well as when cars are in the active mode of queuing and in transit, moving through the line. The intent is to have a continuous flow of pickup and drop off and keep the cars flowing and move them through. And it's for extreme cases when people are sitting there idling for undue periods of time that don't meet the exception criteria.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you. All right, so, item 7, thank you, Sarah. So item number 7 are committee questions. Any committee questions at this time? Anyone? Okay, hearing none. Okay, regarding public comments, which is item number 8, I just wanted to share that in coordination with Doran Whittier, an abutter meeting is planned for December 11th, 2025 at 6 o'clock, which would be located here at the Wilmington High School Large Group Instruction Room, which is this room. Abutters who have a common boundary property line, basically an adjoining landowner with the North Intermediate site, will be notified in the coming weeks regarding this meeting. At that meeting, the design team will present an update on the current design of the North Intermediate site, which adjoins various properties, and they will outline the measures planned to address feedback received from the abutters. Please note that the design team has made and will continue to make every reasonable effort to address concerns raised. However, I wanted to share that there will be limits on what can be accomplished. And as the program, meaning the square footage of the school, cannot be altered based on the submission to MSBA, and the proposed site amenities will remain as part of the project. After that presentation, attendees will have an ample opportunity to ask questions and provide feedback. I do want to just make a personal comment that on that date, in all likelihood, I will not be in attendance at that meeting, as unfortunately I do need to have surgery on December 9th, but I did not want to hold off on having the abutter meeting based on my absence. Town Manager Eric Slagle will be the moderator for that abutter meeting and will be handling the meeting with the help of our project partners, and certainly people are encouraged to attend on the committee if you so choose, but that is the assembled team for the abutter meeting. So we committed during the last meeting that we had that we would have that abutter meeting in December, and it's important that we continue on with that, okay? Any other public comments at this time? Okay, seeing none, okay? Moving on to next meetings, the next meetings will be Tuesday, December 16th, 2025 at 6:30. Again, that will be here. And then the follow-on meeting to that will be Tuesday, January 20th, 2026 at 6:30. And I'm just going to turn it over to Craig at this time to make some additional comments.
Thanks, Judy. So at the very end of October, I sent around a whole batch of meeting invitations. Those are just to block out your calendars. We'll always post publicly, the agenda, within, more than 48 hours in advance. If you did not get those invitations, let me know, and we'll figure out what the holdup was. But our intent is every 6 months or so, we'll send out another batch.
Great, thank you. And before I bring it to the next item, I just wanted to just kindly ask the committee members if you can please leave your name tags here, that we will collect those. If for any reason there may be a typo or a clerical error on your name, please bring it to our attention and we can fix that. So we apologize if that's the case, but I appreciate Left Field putting those together for us so that we can all recognize each other by name. And before I close, the next item on the agenda is the adjournment. I wanted to take a public opportunity as chair for this project. Certainly, I'm a new chair, relatively new, considering that several of you have been here for multiple years before me. But I want to take this opportunity to personally recognize one of our very valued committee members, Mr. Pargerio, to my left, who this will be his last meeting. So over the coming days, there will be multiple opportunities to publicly acknowledge Paul's service and dedication to Wilmington Public Schools. I take no personal credit, but I was very fortunate to meet Paul in the very beginning. I was a member of the school committee when Paul was hired, and I knew right when I met him that he was a special gentleman that would really make an impact and be so valuable to our school system. I never knew that it would be this many years, but I'm thrilled. I can say that I got to know him a little bit on the personal end of things, but more so on the professional end. And as much as he's a true professional, he's a pro person, a family man, just an all-around great guy. There are many instances where the town of Wilmington has gone through some triumphs and tribulations, change in leadership, change in personnel, hardships within the community, and regardless of what the changes were in the community, the one constant that I remember is that Pargerio was always part of the home team. He truly represents what Wildcat Pride is. He's been an absolute joy to work with. He and Joanne Benton started off together, and it grew from there. And to see the mutual respect that exists between the school department and the town leadership team for years is in large part to do with Paul's involvement. So I personally can't say enough about you, Paul, as a person. I will miss working with you. I'll miss seeing you. You've been a gift to this community.
I don't talk a lot. I just want to, first I didn't know who she was speaking about. But I just want to thank everyone here. I'm very proud and happy that this project is going forward. I think it'll be a great addition to the town of Wilmington. I think it'll be a great school and a great piece for the town to be proud of. And I want to thank you for putting up with me for all these years. And I was on the high school project, this project, so I truly enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You get to keep your fireplace in your office. So Paul's exception to take his name.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
And he has to come back for the ribbon cutting.
Oh, 100%.
I still call you at 6:10 in the morning. I'll miss those, we don't do that daily. That's one thing I'll miss.
So again, thank you very much, Paul. So at this time, we'll move into the adjournment. So at this time, I'm seeking a motion from a committee member to adjourn the meeting.
So
Okay, motion been made. Do I have a second? Second. Okay, and roll call vote, please.
Diane Allen,
Yes.
Greg Bendel,
Yes.
Kate Bissell,
Yes.
Kevin Kyra, Michael Pomosio,
Yes.
Justin Boucher,
Yes.
Mary Ann Galesso,
Yes.
Nick Bolden,
Yes.
Christine Holleran,
Yes.
Dennis Kelly,
Yes.
Lilia Maselli, Paul Millerani,
Yes.
Craig Minor,
Yes.
Judy O'Connor,
Yes.
Christine Pendergast,
Yes.
David Ragsdale,
Yes.
Paul Ruggiero,
Yes.
Stacy Scott,
Yes.
Eric Schlegel,
Yes.
Dr. Thompson,
Yes.
Stephen Turner,
Yes.
and myself, yes. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.